I didn't like Netflix's Inside the Manosphere, and actually by the end of it, I kind of hated it. And it's not because the topic isn't important, it's incredibly important. And it's not because the show failed to like show these men saying ridiculous, horrifying things on camera. No, it did that. It did that well. It did that constantly. These men could not stop volunteering information that nobody asked for. But I hated it because of how it left me feeling. I finished this documentary and I didn't feel informed or like ready to act. Instead, I kind of just felt hopeless. And when the subject is grown men selling broken masculinity to literal children, I just don't think hopelessness is a feeling we can afford to let remain. So this is not a recap. I'm not going to walk you through every scene, but I do want to give you the 5 biggest things this documentary revealed, most of them I think by accident. And then at the end, I want to talk about why the final stretch of this film bothered me so much. But as we get going, here's the question that got stuck in my head when the credits rolled, and this is the one that this video will attempt to answer, and that is, if even this documentary couldn't touch these men, what are the rest of us supposed to do? Stay with me. I promise we're gonna land somewhere hopefully a lot better and more hopeful than the documentary did. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andriana, and today we have nobody, no cats in the chair. I don't know what's up with that. But a quick context before we're moving. So Louis Theroux made a documentary where he hangs out with Manosphere and red pill influencers. These are the guys selling masculinity content to like enormous online audiences. So in terms of the documentary, we're talking HS Tiki who I had never heard of before this, Myron Gaines, whom I didn't know his name. I only knew of him as Fresh and Fit. Justin Waller, I didn't know who that was. And then Sneeko, whom is infamous. I had heard of him. He's like Kanye's little, never mind. Anyways, so I watched this with my husband, with my very offline husband, which matters later. And I went in and expecting insight, and I got insight, but I also got a lot of frustration, and we'll get to that as well. But let's jump into takeaway 1. So the first thing that this documentary confirmed for me, and it's also the foundation of everything else in this video, and that's that a lot of these men are not true believers. They're salesmen. Let me show you what I mean, and we'll use HS Tiki for this. What is his real name? I don't think I can call him that the whole time. HS Tiki real name is Harrison, so I'm gonna call him that instead of Tiki because I feel ridiculous. So Harrison, at one point, Thoreau asks him about his money, right? How are you making your money? And it comes out that part of his income is connected to OnlyFans, specifically that he seems to have bought an agency that manages OnlyFans models. And when he's asked about it, he says something very close to, "Do I agree with it? No. But do I profit from it? Yes." So he does not agree with it, but he profits from it anyways. And this is one of those things that truly gets me about this documentary. Nobody pushes him any further. No one's like pulling his toenails, trying to like just drag more information out of him. He goes on because he just keeps going, and he volunteers that if his own daughter were ever to do OnlyFans, he would disown her. And so Thoreau is like, I mean, disown is a pretty strong word. So Harrison, of course, doubles down. So again, no one's pushing him. So somehow it managed to escalate to If his son turns out to be gay, he'll disown him too. Man, we are talking about your finances, your business ventures. Where are we going right now? And please, for the love of God, just don't reproduce. But do notice the shape of this. He profits from women doing something he would punish his own daughter for doing. He's basically like capitalism in a little tank top. Like, what is happening? And maybe I'm being oversensitive. Maybe we don't care if people believe in the things that they're selling anymore. But this hit me personal because I don't know how to live like that. I know exactly what it feels like to build a brand around an ideology. I did that. Up until a couple years ago, I had a Christian brand, like a whole full Christian Bible study brand. And when I stopped believing in organized religion as a whole, well, I had a choice in front of me. I could have kept selling to Christians. Totally could have kept selling to Christians. I know the language, I know the delusion. I was in it. So, I could have chosen that. But I have integrity. I knew exactly what my audience, sorry, I guess that audience. I knew exactly what that audience wanted to hear because for over a decade, I was that audience. I could have found ways to justify it. I could have explained it away, rationalized it away. I mean, it was providing actual income for my family, but I couldn't do it. I personally could not sell something that I did not believe in because I just wouldn't have been able to respect myself afterwards. So I closed my business and I told all of my followers why, and they were pretty freaking rude about it, but it was like, it was the right thing to do. So when I see these men just openly and casually monetizing ideologies that they don't even believe in, it makes my skin crawl. Like, it really makes me feel cringy. And because I have built a successful over six-figure business, I'm very familiar with marketing. And so I just can't even take these guys. These guys are not leaders, they're not visionaries. They are just bad faith, self-help gurus with sales funnels. Like, that's all this is. Sales funnels and microphones. That's it. Okay, takeaway number 2, this is performance, not masculinity. So, specifically, the performance aspect of it. These men are completely different characters depending on who's in the room with them. The clearest one to me, and one of the most revealing moments, is it happens at a gym. So embarrassing to me. Early on, Harrison, Tiki Taki, takes Theroux to, like, his favorite outdoor gym. When they get there, the documentary cameras are rolling, and Harrison, like, turns around directly to the camera, and he just starts influencing. I don't know how else to explain it. He's ready to explain this workout and hype up the location. He's, like, doing his persona, and from behind him, you can hear Louis ask, "Who are you talking to?" He could not physically help himself. He could not a camera turned on, and the character just activated. It just doesn't give off stability. When the camera comes on, you're an influencer. When your friends are around, you're just like this arrogant, weird, rude bro. When your fans are around, now you're a leader and you wax philosophical and and now your mom is here who by Harrison's own description, quote, hates racism, sexism, so and basically everything he says online, but he keeps his mouth shut when she's around, supposedly. I believed that when he first said it, but then when we meet her at the end, I no longer believe that personally, but okay, sure. But we'll let up off of Harrison for a minute because then there's Myron's girlfriend. So Thoreau gets this moment with Myron's girlfriend, and he basically asks her, like, "What do you like about him? What do you like about Myron?" And her response, her answer, I'm paraphrasing, but as closely as I can remember, was she basically said that when her friends and family ask why she's with him, she tells them he's different when he's with me. I'm just trying to imagine sitting down with, like, a sibling or a parent and discussing my longtime partner and them looking at me and being like, What do you like about him?" And then me having to say, "He's different with me." But I have said that before, though. I have said, "He's different with me." A lot of us have said it. I can think of an occasion in which I said it with my whole chest. So her story is just basically that we don't know him like she knows him, that this is just his public persona. And sure, maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. Maybe he is softer in private. But the thing is that I don't really care what you do in private if what you do in public is cruel. I actually think, to go even further, that when we focus on, "Oh, but in private, he's really tender," that actually, like, is like this weird protection for men like this from their public cruelty, because this is what's used as like a some sort of like a defense. So you get a human being and we're all just stuck with a monster? Okay, cool. Anyways, as an adult, to say something like that feels like a cheap alibi that I'm not willing to buy. And then again, what are they selling? Supposedly like confidence, masculinity. I'm not convinced. This is not giving masculine to me. Like, this is not giving. It's performance. It just feels like a performance. And yet again, here I am cringing. I don't know. Takeaway 3. So takeaway 3, they are fragile, paranoid, and ashamed. Said what I said. So, as I just mentioned, these men are supposedly selling confidence, right? That's what we're supposed to believe. Watching the documentary, though, all I ever actually saw over and over and over again was fear, like a lot of fear. And I don't know, maybe Thoreau was giving these guys like weird father figure daddy vibes, but I swear he would ask a pretty mild question and then just wait quietly, and these men would just unravel. So at one point, Justin Waller gets asked about his views on monogamy because he has like this arrangement, it seems like, where he gets to sleep around, but a woman in love naturally wouldn't. So, very convenient. So, Thoreau just gently pushes on it, you know. I mean, you say something like that, one should expect a follow-up question, you know? And so, gentle question happens, and Waller goes, "See, now you're mad. Everybody gets mad when I bring this stuff up, man. Everybody gets mad." And Thoreau, who is not somebody I would characterize as mad, I think he could have stood to be a little bit more anyways, he's not a mad dude. He's like, "Wait, what about me right now is reading as mad?" Because nobody was mad. We're asking follow-up questions, which I think is reasonable, and it's a very different thing than we're mad instantly. But I talk about this quite a lot. There's a certain type of person that has ideas, and when those ideas are questioned, even just reasonable questions, they get very tense, very angry. So, this question seems to have made him a little uncomfortable. So, the other person must be emotional. I don't know. It seems like projecting, but we have to also acknowledge this shame, because in addition to the fear, there's like a substantial amount of shame. I already kind of touched on it with the whole OnlyFans conversation. And yeah, I think him oversharing there was a shame response, because remember, former Christian teacher. I think shame does that to people, and it just makes you start saying crazy shit like that, like, "You know what? I don't even want a gay son." It's like, "What are we talking we're talking about your taxes, the fuck?" So that conversation starts with, "I profit from it, from OnlyFans," and with no pushing, he ends up disowning his hypothetical children. It's the craziest thing, but I'm gonna move on. It was just absolutely crazy. So that's the shame aspect. But then there's also the paranoia. After a photo of Theroux and Tiki Taki Harrison goes viral, the fans start yelling, hit piece. And I mean, everything changes. It is like a stark difference. Suddenly, Thoreau is getting the cold shoulder. He gets so like the day before he's like ushered in and is great, but then this time he's brought in and he's forced to like kind of wait off to the side. Total power move because Harrison is busy watching a video with his friend. I'm pretty sure it was porn, but whatever. That was apparently important. So they make Thoreau stand there and wait awkwardly. And then for, like, the rest of that day and a couple more days maybe, it's hard to know what kind of time is passing in this thing, but Harrison will just introduce Thoreau now as a guy to watch out for, a guy who acts like your pal and then screws you over. His feelings are really hurt. He says more than once some version of he acts friendly to your face and then betrays you. That is a wounded person. And at no point did this adult man just ask. He never just says, "Hey, what remind me again what we're doing here? What is this? Like, is this a hit piece?" Like, he never just asks. Instead, he goes passive aggressive and spirals publicly on like his social medias for literal days. But the paranoia does not stop with Harrison. It's common and it's reoccurring in all of them. The media is lying. Women are scheming. The elites are pulling strings. Critics are always your haters and your enemies. These men are not calm, like at all. When your masculinity cannot survive a couple like follow up questions, then it was never really rooted in strength and confidence, was it? At this point in the documentary, I mean, I'm having a pretty good time. My super offline husband is totally flabbergasted by this. These men look ridiculous. I'm giggling. Let me tell you where the laughing stopped. So, takeaway 4, they are both pathetic and powerful. So this is where, for me, like stakes start poking up. So for most of the documentary, these men look fairly unserious. They come off as insecure and as contradictory as like a character. It feels like a character. They're paranoid, they're fragile, but the film does this thing where it just keeps flipping to something else, and that's the money. And the money reminds you that there has to also be influence. So there's the money, the access, the audience, the reach, and then you have Sneeko. He shows up near actual political power. What is Sneeko's real name? Nicholas? Is that true? So Sneeko or Nicholas shows up near actual political power at the inauguration. First he's just hanging out with Kanye and Swass throwing up Nazi gestures and crazy shit. And now he's the fucking anyways, and though he's not in the documentary, Andrew Tate just hovers over this whole ecosystem like a shadow. There are clips of him. There's one of him talking about his political ambitions and his different connections. And all of these guys seem to have at least a photo with the president. The energy overlap is really hard to miss. Grievance, dominance, humiliation as a sport, paranoia, status obsession, the constant performance of strength. I'm not saying Trump invented the manosphere. He didn't. It's been around before him. And I'm also not saying that every manosphere red pill guy is necessarily a Trumpy. But I am saying that birds of a feather, they tend to flock and squawk together. And these fuckers and these men are squawking and flocking all the way to the damn White House, okay? There's also violence, like a lot of violence. There's footage of vigilante style predator hunting, men being beaten in the streets, filmed and broadcast to live audiences. As far as I could tell, no real evidence is ever presented. There's no process, there's no accountability. It's just a group of men deciding on their own authority who deserves it today. Maybe these men they're beating down in the streets are predators and they have proof. I don't know. But I hate a predator. I hate a predator as much as anyone. Imagine bringing back To Catch a Predator, but then instead of just the cops being outside, there's also just like a small mob to just give you a beating before they carry you away. In all seriousness, though, that show had actual investigations and follow up accountability for all of those freaks. You cannot just decide who deserves to have the shit beat out of them on a random Tuesday afternoon. And you absolutely cannot broadcast that to your audience. And it's obvious in the documentary that they're becoming more violent. And as far as consequences go, the documentary's update reel leaves you with an impression that there just won't be any. HS Tiki Taki, Harrison's legal situation, after what's shown in the film, seems to resolve into what reads like very little. Sneeko, I think, got like all his channels back, I believe, or got a channel back. Then Kanye broke up with him, and then all the other Manosphere tentacles were mad at him. They were like, "No, you're the most racist." And I was like, "Okay." So everyone seems to be doing pretty great, actually. And that's when you notice suddenly you're not laughing anymore. These men are not powerful because they are wise or strong or right. These men are powerful because platforms reward absolute spectacle, and that's what these guys are. Spectacle, grievance, cruelty, and a whole bunch of fake confidence. So from where I was sitting, they looked both powerful and pathetic, and that combination is terrifying if you think about it, because pathetic alone, you can just laugh at it, swat it away. Powerful alone, you can at least respect the threat, right? But powerful and pathetic, that means like an enormous amount of influence in the hands of men with no like coherent belief systems. Men with blatant unhealed wounds. Men who have literally no financial incentive to ever want to get better. So these are not like fringe weirdos if people keep inviting them into the room. So the only obvious next question is influence over whom? Who is actually on the other end of this? And that's takeaway 5. It's the reason why I'm making this video. Takeaway 5, boys are the real audience. Boys are the real audience. That was the whole thing. So everything up to this point, which is all alleged and completely my opinion, the grift, the performance, the fragility, the power, all of it would be a very different conversation if it stayed between adult men, but it doesn't. There's a moment pretty early, if I remember correctly, in the documentary. Tiki Taki Harrison is out in public, and a group of fans come running up to him, and they're like yelling, they're excited, but their faces are all blurred. And the reason why their faces are blurred is because they are minors. And in my opinion, these minors don't look like teenagers. I have a 7 going on 8-year-old, and so to me, these kids read around 9, 10 years old, and the kids are excited, they're fans, and they're repeating, I guess, his catchphrases back to him and things, including hateful, homophobic bullshit. And his reaction is to giggle and do like a, "Uh-oh, what have I done?" These are children, like literal children. And that for me was a moment when the documentary just starts getting really real. I've even seen a couple reports, if I can find them, I'll link them down below, of how this type of attitude, this manosphere ideologies and attitude is starting to show up in school-age children when they're in female taught classrooms. So it's like kids are consuming this stuff. So it's not that grown men are saying awful things, it's that children are repeating them. What is also that men are saying awful things. That sucks. But kids are also repeating it, and that just feels even crazier. I'm building a platform. It's currently non-existent. I just started. But if children came running up to me in public and were like so excited about what I had made, that would cause me to literally stop for a second and be like, "Wait, what? What am I doing?" And I'm not creating harmful content. Hateful, harmful content. These men don't even believe in what they're selling, remember? The kids don't know that. And so the kids are praising them for it. That should horrify these men if they were as men, whatever the hell that means. This should horrify any adult human being that's decent. But it visibly does not. If this conversation left you feeling activated, but also like aware of how tired you are, I totally get that feeling. And I actually created like a whole little BuzzFeed style quiz called the Spark Diagnostic. And that's exactly what it's for. It's all about helping you find the things that are draining you so that you can get back to that spark you used to have to be able to raise hell about all this different stuff. So, if that's at all interesting to you, it is completely free. It's linked down below in the description. Thank you so much for overthinking this documentary with me today. Did you watch it? What did you think of it? This is, of course, just my opinion. Who am I? I would love to know what you thought. Also, if you made it this far, then you probably liked the video, and so you should go ahead and subscribe because this is a brand new channel, and if you don't subscribe, you may never see me again, and that would be really sad. So, now why don't you go do something kind for yourself, like take a nap. You deserve it.